Welcome to the Matt Cutrer Report. These are the extraordinary stories of ordinary, everyday individuals. Today's guests are heavily involved in street outreach for the homeless. One of them heads up Operation Got Your Six and Schoolies for Veterans. The other one is involved with singing with Hope for the Hurting. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kelly Self and this is Mr. Kelly Poe Self with Operation Got Your Six and Schoolies for Veterans. And then we have your daughter.
Niece.
Niece. Sorry about that. This is Miss Brandy Hammond, a.k.a. Mama Hope, with Hope for the Hurting. So thank you both for coming on, first of all.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Good to be here, Matt.
So we're going to talk about, So we're going to talk about a couple of local things going on, but we're also going to get into you're going to share your testimony, which I'm thrilled and honored that you chose to come on the platform to do that, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before we do that, though, let's give the audience just a little background about you two. So, Kelly, I'll let you go first. Just tell the audience who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
Kelly Self, born and raised here in San Angelo. During the military, ran off for a while, was in aviation for a whole bunch of years. Had my own bouts of homelessness and hopelessness. Have found my way back to a good sense of reality, and president of Operation Got Your Six. I founded Schoolies for Veterans, which you did a great interview with us about.
Yeah.
Currently also the quartermaster and chaplain for the local VFW.
That's awesome. That's right. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, Brandy, tell us who you are, what you do.
My name is Brandy Hammond. I was raised in San Angelo, left here permanently about at the age of 32 after some devastating things that happened in all our lives. So I won't go into too much detail because there's vast viewers, but my first husband ended up being a pedophile, and it turned out really, really bad. And about 32 years old, I got a divorce and started on drugs, and because I just wanted to numb the pain,
Yeah.
I was blessed to be able to escape for a little bit. I moved to Northern California, kind of did the hippie thing for a while, and we hit a really bad bout of drug addiction in December of 2015. And it was at that point that I realized I no longer needed to be, a slave to methamphetamines. I needed to do something different. I remember praying to God one night. We were out in the streets. We were homeless off and on. And oddly enough, when we were homeless, wasn't when we were doing drugs. It was when we were in houses. Go figure. Go backwards.
Right.
But losing our houses was because of the drugs. So maybe that's why we didn't do drugs.
Yeah.
We were on the streets. But, my three boys, I have three boys that live in California. We had to escape from San Angelo because it was a really bad situation. And
Wow. What?
So
Wow. Yeah.
No, go ahead. No,
No,
really.
sorry. I just, you kind of hit me, dropped the bomb, and I'm excited just because you sound like you have a very powerful story, and I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting into this with you if you're willing.
Absolutely.
Because I know there's a lot to unpack there.
Well, and I think that it's important for people out there, when you are blessed to have a platform.
Yes.
It's important to let people out there know that, hey, man, I know that you can't talk about it in some places because you don't feel safe, but just know that I'm here to speak for you. I'm here because God said that my testimony, the good, the bad, the ugly, is important. And so, I was kind of inspired by an old high school friend when I was trying to raise funds the other day. She made a pretty hateful post. My first thought was, yay, I'm finally getting trolls, so I must be doing something right.
That's right. Yeah.
But it more hurt because, she was like, it was like she didn't understand the story. But then what I realized is, how is anybody going to understand the story if you don't go out there and tell people? And how are people going to know that they have somebody safe to come and talk to?
Right.
Regardless of whether, I don't care if you prostituted. So did I. I did drugs. I was homeless. When we stop being embarrassed of that and keep that's part of that fear-based living. When you're not afraid of that anymore, then the devil has no stand.
Yes, that's right.
And here in San Angelo, is where my life began, where my fondest memories are and where some of my saddest memories are. But it also made me who I am, you
That's
know,
exactly
and
right. Yeah.
there's some intricate pieces to this puzzle, and coming home was what we felt like we were supposed to do, and then writing you was like, you know what, here's a time if you strike while the
Iron is
iron's
hot.
hot,
Yeah.
right? You know, and you know, here we have a bunch of people hurting, we have a bunch of people missing, and we have a bunch of devastation. What can we do to not only just go out and help, but make awareness so that it doesn't stop once you leave? That's the hardest part about street outreach, is when you're gone, you have no guarantee that there's anybody in the standing in the back saying, here we are, give me a call. Or you have people that say, give me a call, but you have to be a member of this church and you have to do this.
Yeah.
And we got to realize that that's not what God told us to do. He said, go be a light. Let them know that I am
Yes.
here, you know?
Yes.
And some people have a lot of church hurt. So
That's right. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to jump to our sponsor real quick, get that out of the way, and then we're going to hop it back into the story. Are you looking to elevate your brand with custom headwear? Custom business hats for high quality customized hats, perfect for any business need. Whether it's for company branding or distinctive merchandise, we ensure that your brand gets the attention it deserves. Plus, we offer free quotes to help you get started. Visit our website at custombusinesshats.com. Custom Business Hats. We've got you covered. All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about the early years. So where does your story begin? I know it starts in San Angelo, but you want to pick up there and let us know how it all began?
Well, my father was in the Air Force, and my grandfather was already stationed here, I believe, and that's where my mom and dad had met, was here. And then we were stationed in Japan, and that's where I was born.
Cool.
In Okinawa, I believe.
Yeah,
But,
Japan's cool. People seem to love Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
have
my
a good
mom said it was,
experience there?
I don't know. I was
Oh,
just
you're
a
too young.
baby.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom and dad were struggling in their own relationship, and they had gotten a divorce and then got remarried. And then my mom became a single mom. It was just her and I. My mom battled with her own addiction and alcoholism and, you know, physical abuse and so on and so forth. And so I kind of just grew up in it. So it just seemed normal to me. And in good Texas fashion, most of the people were like, you're going to get married one day and you're going to have babies and it's going to be great. So I wasn't really thinking about a career. I was thinking about, I must find a man.
Really?
Gotta find a man.
That was always
that was
instilled
just
in you?
like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get married and he's going to take care
Yeah.
of me and I'm going to be a princess. And that's
Yep.
what's going to happen. During that time, I was singing in the community. I was in probably the 8th grade and found out that I wanted to play drums, but they said I had no hand-eye coordination, which I don't. And so my only elective was choir, and I joined
Nice.
choir, and that's when I started finding out that there was this gift, but I still didn't know what
Ooh,
it
you
was.
sing? Oh, 'cause
Yeah.
I was in choir forever, even through college. So
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
that's my main thing is I do music
Nice.
ministry, so it's Mama Hope.
Okay.
I have my first gospel EP coming out next month.
Really? Awesome.
Super excited about that.
Cool.
My friend Linda Bell wrote it in the 60s and 70s, maybe early 80s, during kind of like the Jesus revolution moment,
Yeah.
you know, and Jesus freaks, as we call ourselves. But so, oh, there's so much. I'm trying to organize
You're
it.
all right,
But
yeah.
so, you know, throughout, I did what every typical San Angelo kid does. You know, we did the cruises and the, you know, smoking pot in the backyards or whatever. But it was nothing really serious, you know, back then. I met my first husband through high school. He ended up going to Lakeview. I ended up going to Central. We were just friends. And a few years later, we ended up hooking up and we ended up getting married.
About how old were you then?
17
Oh.
or 18. I got married when I was 18.
Okay.
18.
I know that because we went to South Dakota and I couldn't play on the slot machines and I was super mad because he could, you know, because he was older. But he ended up joining the military soon after that. And I started noticing something wasn't right. You know, something just didn't feel right. And as it went on, come to find out, he had been looking at child pornography, as well as harming children.
Wow.
we were stationed in Fort Hood when he got busted, and I don't know if it's verbatim. I believe it was either 1,500 or 15,000 pictures of child pornography they found on his
Really?
computer.
What year was this?
Well, it was 9/11.
Was
so,
it?
yeah, like he went to prison 2 weeks before 9/11 happened.
No way.
So, like, here I am, 6 months pregnant with 2 boys. My husband just went to
Oh,
JAG.
wow.
He just went to, I think it was like Fort Lewis, Washington or something. He went to military confinement.
Yeah.
My whole life just changed right there. Here I was thinking I was going to be a military wife
Right.
forever. This is,
How did they catch wind that he had that stuff?
my mom's a good protector, and
Yeah.
she convinced me to go talk to CID on post and say, I think something's wrong.
What made you think that something
He
was
was
going on?
locking himself in the bedroom. We weren't allowed on his computer, and
okay.
I was a very broken person at that point. I was about 320 pounds.
Yeah.
Just real, and that has nothing to do with self-esteem. That's just where I was. I
Sure,
had,
yeah.
my self-esteem was at an all-time low, but then
Mhm.
there was not the affection from there as well. There was other little bits and pieces, little signs, things that just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Red flags, I guess.
Right.
After he got put in confinement, they moved me back to San Angelo, and I was living with my in-laws, but they were completely convinced that we had set him up. That
Really?
we had put all these pictures on his
Oh, wow.
on his
that's
computer.
crazy.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not that smart.
Right.
But so we lived with him for a little while, and I finally, about a year later, I had gotten a job. I was starting to, really be independent, and I woke up probably about 6 o'clock in the morning to him standing over me. Nobody told me he was getting out of prison.
You're kidding.
And no, we were living out in
Whoa.
Quail Valley,
Yeah.
and so immediately I just went into just panic. I just went into, okay, he's my husband. I can't run. I'm stuck. So I stayed in that situation for probably about 3 months. And then one morning
What?
I grabbed my kids, packed them in the car. He had just left. He was working the cotton fields. And I grabbed him, put him in the car, and went to the shelter. I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
None of my family at the time were capable of taking on this young girl with 3
Right.
boys, and that's a lot of, my grandmother was passing away, his mother, there
Yeah.
was so much going on.
Right.
So
How long was he in did
he was only there about 11 months.
In prison?
Yeah.
The first time.
The first time.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes deeper.
Okay.
So then,
So he gets out, he's standing over you.
yeah,
Y'all are kind of back together, you're living with him, but then you leave in the middle of the night, go to the shelter.
yep. I
And-
went to the shelter right here I don't know where it is now, but it was
Yeah.
right here downtown.
Okay.
Probably one of the best decisions I ever made. They helped
Yeah.
us to get into our first HUD housing, and
Okay.
I started working on my divorce because I hadn't divorced him yet.
Okay.
I went to CPS, and they said there's nothing we can do. He hasn't touched a child. It was just child pornography, so you have to give him visitations. And I'm like, this is not a good
Whoa.
idea.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't know how to fight back. I
Mhm.
was still so scared. So they would go on visitation, and I have to say allegedly, but I know it's true. But
Right.
allegedly, my middle son came to me, had an outcry, and said, "Daddy touched me."
Really?
So we called CPS. That he had just been with the therapist. So the therapist ran back to the house. By this point, I was already on drugs. I was like, that's how I was dealing with everything.
So your drug of choice was methamphetamine?
Methamphetamines. So I went with a friend to a house over by the college. No
Mhm.
offense, college, we love you. But they were like, I'm like, oh, is it like weed? And she's like, yeah, it's like weed. So I smoked it, and I knew it was my best friend. That first hit.
Are you serious?
Oh,
Why
I
do you
was
say that?
addicted.
What did it feel
It was
like? That
an ease, a comfort that I was looking for that I didn't know I could get from God yet. You know?
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, I
just
can
like
relate to
I
that.
felt relaxed. I felt like I had some energy again. I'm like 300 something pounds, So and I was like, okay, this is working for them. It seems, although we're in
Yeah.
like this really,
There's a statistic, and I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's 2%. I think that's right. But they say that people who've tried methamphetamine, that only 2% of people are able to put it down and never do it again. It's
I believe
that
it.
addictive,
I absolutely,
So
because
you're
it was a
in the
fight for
2%.
years.
Yeah.
It was an absolute fight for
Wow.
years, and I had gone to, I'd gone to 12-step programs and stuff with my mom, and I knew.
Mhm.
But the good thing is, I knew where I needed to go when it finally got
That's true.
time
That's
too.
true.
So
Mhm.
because I was pretty sheltered most of my life. Like
Yeah.
even though we had stuff going on, my family was just really good about just loving you through things.
Yeah.
So We went to court. It was a 6-month long thing. My son had to, at 6 years old, had to testify in front of his father.
Whoa.
And then the jury said not a preponderance of evidence. And they couldn't bring up the fact that he was a registered sex offender because you can't bring up at that time, you couldn't bring up a past thing.
Yeah.
Wait,
so all they had to go on was your son's testimony?
And the therapist and everything. Like, everybody's like, this boy is not changed. Yeah. We'll never know.
Kids at that age don't lie about that kind of
theories.
thing.
There's theories within our broken world, but I remember the DA as we were walking, I was like, we're just going to have to wait for him to mess up. And I remember thinking in my head, we're not talking about shoplifting.
Exactly.
We're talking about people,
That's
children.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, to jump ahead and then go back, my ex-husband is back in prison again. He, I don't know what you're allowed to say anymore, but he sexually abused his stepdaughters. He got remarried again, and
allegedly through other parts of our family as well. But
really,
wow. Some of them never got a voice, and that's why it's so important to be a voice.
Yes, for sure.
But I also try to be so careful, especially with my middle son, is it's their testimony, and I want them to be able to share that and their comfort, and give them that light.
That's true.
Because even him coming back and going by the courthouse, it just made him so nauseous. He was like, really? Mom, this is where they failed me. And I'm like, no, we haven't failed. Don't even think that way. But he felt like it was his fault now because, and it wasn't, he's still been struggling for years and years with mental health because of it, so, so we battled, my new husband and I, we battled drug addiction off and on for a long time. But he's the one that actually helped me leave San Angelo, and Kelly and a few other family members.
You just knew you needed to get out of here?
No, I was still sticking in. I was still hanging on to that life with claws,
Yeah.
My ex-husband, again, after they let him off with the charges, they had to have he was allowed visitation again, unsupervised.
Jeez, yeah.
So this is so he came over to the apartment where we were living, and he had asked if he could take the kids to the circus, and I can't say no because I'll go to jail, because I have no rights here.
Yeah.
And when he left, he came over, he said, oh, and can I borrow $20 so I can buy them some stuff at the circus? And that was what really set off my husband now, is when he left, he looked at me and said, you can't do this anymore. We got to get these kids out of here. He says, look, I got to get back to California because he got stuck here,
Okay.
He's a hippie kid. He's been backpacking and traveling since he was 16.
Wow. Yeah.
He was raised in Nashville or born in Nashville, raised in Ohio. He has a beautiful testimony himself. But so we went to everybody and we said, hey, we need to go. There's no help here.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
They came and knocked on my door. I happened to be in town. My mother had already passed, and I was doing some stuff at the house. Her grandmother, by the way, before she passed on her deathbed, did ask us to invite the ex-husband over to the house, and I told her that we had already taken all the guns out of the house, Mother, that we weren't going to be doing that.
She was like, I'm going to leave anyway, so let me take care of this.
Yeah, right.
they came by the house. I had actually I don't think I'd even met Seth yet at this point. It's late, and they told me what was happening, and I knew right then and there that this was her chance. I looked at him. I said, do you know what you're doing? And he said, no, sir. Shook his head, no, sir. And I said, okay, I respect that. I just asked that you take care of her because we didn't grow up as me being the uncle and her being the niece. It was more like a big brother, little sister situation.
Yeah.
There's only like 5 years difference in our age.
Okay,
I gave him everything I had in my pocket. And next thing we know, a couple other people in the family did, and they actually made it.
Wow.
And I got to give some props to, what would they call Christian services that used to be here? They used to have a little store here downtown.
Oh, Christians in Action.
Christians in Action.
Oh, yeah.
They helped. And I believe there was a Methodist church downtown gave us gas vouchers.
Really? That's cool.
I started taking my kids to Salvation Army for dinners because I knew we were going to be homeless, and I didn't know what homeless really meant. So I was trying to prepare them. So thank you, Salvation Army, for you didn't know it, but you prepared us, But so we did.
You lived on the beach in a tent for the longest time. She raised her kids, put them all through school. 1 or 2 college graduates out of the out
Yeah.
of
My youngest and I just graduated college
Yeah.
together last year.
Whoa, that's cool. Yeah.
And now he's getting his bachelor's in psychology. I'd make a joke. He
Nice.
just wants to figure out what's wrong with us. But
That's why he
but
went into it. Yeah.
it's
But she
that
was able to take that situation of complete despair and
Mhm.
no hope, and just on just a flash of hope, and
Whoa.
to get in the car, and we
Yeah.
thought everybody in my family thought she was crazy. I said, well, yeah, she's one of us. She is crazy, but I
Yeah.
have faith she'll make it. I
Yeah.
have hope that she'll do it. And it was probably just me and maybe one or two others that really stood behind her during that time
Whoa,
out of
yeah.
the whole family. And yeah, she has struggled throughout the years and everything, but I can tell you that I'm extremely proud of her. She did raise 3 very good boys, and to be able, they're all graduates. They're all,
That's crazy.
that's
cool.
something
Yeah.
that you just can't imagine what have come out of that situation.
That's right. Yeah,
then-
like
and-
no one expected that to happen
Right.
when
No,
you
absolutely
left. Everybody
not.
counted you out.
well,
I
because when
guarantee
we
it.
left, we
Except a
left
couple
like
people.
I
I
love you, honey, out there, but we left looking like typical drug addicts.
Yeah,
Like we
right.
like we're sending this lady and this, I often sit there and wonder how I never lost my kids to CPS.
Right,
But there's
yeah.
God. That's why,
That's
because
right.
it wasn't meant.
Yeah.
We traveled throughout Colorado, California, just bouncing back and forth. But I was in fight or flight, so I was
Yeah.
run. If anything felt uncomfortable,
Were
I would just
y'all
hop in the
staying,
car and go.
Staying in your car,
staying
on
in
the
a
beach,
van,
yeah. And y'all were still
shelters.
using at that point pretty
Not
heavily?
when we were on the streets. When we get a house, we
Oh, yeah,
get
you said that.
comfortable,
Yeah.
and then I would go back to drug use because
Why
I don't
is
know
that?
why.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just, I can do it this time. I
Yeah.
can handle it this time.
Yeah.
Look at me. We
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we got
We always fool
security.
ourselves like that. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it was December 1st. We were losing our house in Crescent City, California. After really working hard, we got back into that thing, and then that's a whole nother beautiful testimony in itself. But we ended up getting put in this little trailer in a little trailer court called Shangri-La, which was not Shangri-La.
And where was this at?
In Crescent City, California. And we didn't have any food. We'd given them all our money, to move into this trailer court because we had just lost everything. And I was calling around, and there was this place called Our Daily Bread, and it was about 2 blocks behind us. It was pouring down rain. And I just prayed to God probably about a week before that, and I didn't feel anything. I'm like, that's it, man. I'm so messed up this time. God's not going to take me back,
Really? You didn't feel anything?
No, I was just
Interesting.
like, oh, no Holy Spirit, no nothing,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
So we end up walking into dripping rain, walk into this free feed for the only words I know how to call it, and it just happened to be that they were having an open mic, an
Whoa.
open Christian open mic night there
Yeah.
while they were feeding everybody, and I was like, here I am tattered. I look like I'm off the Raiders. I've got dreadlocks and shaved head, and
Yeah.
I was like, can I sing a song? I had done music ministry. There's bits and pieces in there, like when we were living in Willow Creek, I was going to church for a little while. A family prayed for me for 15 years, and now they're some of our biggest supporters.
Wow.
But I got up to sing, and I felt this rush I'd never felt before. Like something had just poured
Whoa.
hot, warming, comforting oil throughout my body.
Had
Like
you
I
never
could-
done that before?
Not like that. Not whatever happened. It was happened. It was a divine moment.
Yeah. Do you remember what you sang?
No, I don't even remember what
Yeah,
I sang.
yeah.
Probably Amazing Grace or something
Yeah,
simple,
sure.
How
many people were there? Do you remember?
There was at
Roughly?
least, I would say, probably 30 or 40 people
Really?
there eating. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they had what they called a movie night because they couldn't house anybody there technically, so they would do movie nights, and if it was rain or something, they could come in and rest their heads and
Yeah.
get full bellies. They ended up being a really important part of our testimony as well. And it did. I won't say that it got perfect after that. It was a couple of years of just struggling, getting into HUD housing, going back to college.
Yeah.
Then I came back home to San Angelo after 12 years after finding out my ex was back in prison,
Wow.
only to find his grandfather out in Quail Valley in a dilapidated house by himself. And I said,
Whoa.
I can't leave him like this. There's nobody
Yeah.
left.
Oh.
And my whole family, for the most part, except for certain ones, were like, "You're insane. How could you do that?" I'm like, "Well, he didn't do the bad
That's
thing.
true. Yeah.
He's not the
That's
bad
exactly
person.
right. Yeah.
He's like 90 years old, for
Mhm.
God's sakes, and he's a veteran."
Yeah.
So we ended up coming here. My husband took care of him really well, and then
Wow.
when we got him strong enough, I'm like, I got to go back to California. You know, my son is up in Oregon. I'm too far away from people. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't where I need to be. I need to be there. And I'd been working on music off and on. So we moved everybody back up to California. And then the pandemic happened soon after that. I call it the
Okay.
damn-demic, but the pandemic happened.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I really started like seeing things like just because you have more time to think
That's
about
right.
things.
Yeah.
And I got chosen to go as a performer at the Women in Blues in Memphis.
Cool.
And I think that was right before the pandemic, or maybe, well,
was
I'm
around
sorry,
the time.
yeah, around
Yeah.
around that time. So I went there, came back, continued on taking care of him, going to school, and then he passed away about 2 years ago. Uh, Everything kind of fell apart. We all fell apart for a minute because we followed through all the way to the end. That was my first time really dealing with death. I hadn't had to have it right there, but it was beautiful.
Wow.
I got to lay beside him. I got to hold him like I promised.
Really?
We played music for him and just talked to him
And
through
what
it.
was he sick with?
I think in the end they considered it congestive heart failure, but he had tumors.
Yeah.
He was during the Korean conflict, so I can't imagine what chemicals they were working with on the
Who knows?
planes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But life, he was 94 when he
Yeah.
passed away, I believe.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And I got to say, the VA and the hospice did a really good job training us and helping us too, so
Cool.
that
Yeah.
became a new passion for me where I was afraid of death.
Nice.
Now I'm like,
Whoa,
I
really?
can, oh yeah.
That made you not afraid of
Made
it.
me not afraid of
Why
it.
do you think? That's
Because
interesting.
you're right there in the face of it. You can't walk away from it. It's there. It's in your hands. But to feel that release that I felt from his body, that comfort, like I knew he was at peace. I knew that when he came into our lives, it was to get him prepared. I just had this feeling.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what that means yet. I wasn't even doing ministry, or going to church full time or anything. I just knew that God was leading me.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get him baptized.
Cool.
Right here at Shannon Hospital before we left, which was
That's
awesome.
amazing.
So
yeah.
thumbs up to the chaplain over there,
For sure. Very cool.
And after that, I really started, after he passed away and we moved into our new place where we're at now, I really started focusing on my college and what is it I want to do. And I ended up finally getting an AA in liberal arts and humanities, which made complete sense.
Yeah.
And then right about the time I was about to graduate, I got offered to share my testimony with Artist and Christian Testimony out of Nashville, Tennessee. Byron Spradling is the CEO.
Yeah.
And so they picked us up as a department of ACT, the Hope for Hurting. And I met the Extreme Tour, which is another exciting part of this journey, while I was at the 50th anniversary. And they're like, I think there's something that you need to check into and apply for. I think you're a perfect fit. And that was what I was talking to you before we started, was the Extreme Tour picks artists and goes out throughout the United States and UK, Japan. There's a few Canada. Well, no, that's kind of part of the United States. But, in other different places, and they're working on a couple other places. But it's been going for 30 years, and these artists, they raise their own funds. There's no paid anything. You're doing this on your own accord, and it's basically just to go and give joy to people and let them know they're seen. There is some of us are what most call the Christian and the secular, but we don't call it secular anymore. We call it marketplace.
Oh.
Because it's music is music, and so we bring in marketplace and Christian artists in, because it's not about that. It's about showing love.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And then also my husband and I, we do outreach wherever we can. But our goal is to be full-time mobile ministry.
Okay. Nice.
As well as music ministry. Pardon me.
Yeah. Mobile ministry. So what were y'all traveling, like a bus or something, or a van, or?
We're hoping that God will provide a
exactly. Yeah.
like a skate pod. But we're hoping that it'll have like supplies on it, and we can reach those people that a lot of people don't know that they're there. Because well, for fear. You hear, don't go over to that campsite. That's where all the heroin addicts are. Don't go over. They're human beings.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
After we got clean, I just knew that I wanted to do something. But you always sit there, every great story starts with, I didn't know where I wanted to start. I just had these dreams and these visions, and it started in the beginning of when I win the lottery or when we start really banking, we'll be able to do this. And then I heard God say, I need you to drop the fishing net and get off the boat and let's do this.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, God, I'm pretty low in my bank account.
I know. It's like, well, okay, how do I do that? Yeah.
And so we just did. We were obedient.
Sometimes you have to do that. Yeah.
We're headed to Indiana, Pennsylvania, excuse me, and to see my husband's daughter's graduation. And we were told to keep going. So we met up with the tour this summer. We had went on tour all summer last summer. And we were at the point where we're like, we're not getting any more donors. We don't know what to do. We were, we're dealing with how do I, do this without sounding like I'm begging, because that was one of the comments that was made was, don't panhandle online. I'm like,
really?
Well, you weren't mad at me when I was panhandling on the street, but
I know.
And I'm like, I'm panhandling for Jesus. I wanted to get a sign that said that, panhandling for Jesus, but
that's tricky.
It really is tricky because people seem to want you to be just really sound and have all these great grants written up and all these plans, and I'm like, look, God just gave me a vision and said, let's do this. And that's what I did.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's head back this way. We need to start regaining, because we joined tour as an artist August through September, and I knew for sure this is what I want to do. And I want to go off and just wherever God needs us, be there. And so we headed here to Kelly, and then I just got this thought, I should call Matt. He's been there. Yeah. He knows that. His heart, his passion is real.
Yes.
And my thing is, especially right here, in San Angelo, I know the hurt firsthand, from myself, from outside sources, from different stories. And just driving into town, I told Kelly, I said, I wanted to stop so many times, but I didn't even have supplies. But, see this girl sitting behind the building crying with her bags and knowing that what she needs is you to go, hey, I just needed to tell you I love you today. It has changed things. And the biggest testimony I can share about that with so many different testimonies is, I believe we were in Grand Rapids, and this was last year. We pulled up to this middle pump at this gas station, and the guy pulled up behind us, and he was mad. He was a young kid. Definitely been through some things, He may have been actively in a gang or something.
Right,
but,
okay. What was he mad about?
Trying to, we had pumped at the middle, and he wanted us to pump to the first one, and, and it was legitimate. He was angry, but he was, my husband and my friend got out of the car, and I heard God audibly say, I need you to get out of the car. And I'm thinking, my husband's not going to be happy about me stepping out in this situation, And he's like, I need you to get out of the car. And I'm like, all right, dude. All right. If I get killed, at least I'll see you. It'll be cool,
Yeah.
So I get out, and he's like, I need you to put your hand on his shoulder.
Whoa.
And, this is a kid with tats.
Yeah.
He's I don't know what his story was.
Yeah.
I put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, hey, it's going to be okay.
Wow.
And this kid starts crying and just falls into my arms. And I just sat there holding them, and my husband said it was so weird because he saw the change, the click in his eyes. Yeah. He just needed to hear that somebody was listening to him. So he's sitting there and he's apologizing to us after, and I'm like, it's all right, man. I've cussed out candle makers in the mall, bro. It's okay. We have these days.
That's right. Yeah.
As I come out, his mom is in the car. We didn't know that. And she was like, thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know what that one I love you. You might get a, hey, F you. You might, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
But they might still hear it. Yeah. They might still walk off and kind of have that smile, but they have to, we have such a protective, hard shell around us.
I know.
And
it reminds me of something that happened to me recently. So I've been praying a lot, and I've been making a real effort to pray every morning at the same time in the same place. I go to this rock that's near my house, and I read this book called I Heard God Laugh. And it's written by Matt Kelly. He's a Christian author. And basically, he outlines what he calls the prayer process. And what it is just kind of a way to learn to dialogue with God. And so how it begins is you start talking to God about what you're grateful for in the last 24 hours. And then you lift others up in prayer, like pray for certain people that God has placed on your heart or mind. And then you ask for forgiveness. You really think about the things that you and you repent about those things and talk to God about getting better, and then significant moments, which that would be something that happened that God was trying to show you something, or something that really impacted you, and then requests, like, if you're asking God for something, and then you finish with the Lord's Prayer. And what it's done is really interesting, because I used to be like a 911 prayer, just when I needed something. But what it's done, forcing myself to go through this, it's changed the way I talk with God. Now it's more, my prayer's more about others. It's really interesting, and about my life and stuff, but how I can help other people and bring them to know God, and the things I'm doing in my life, and really examining those things and seeing, is this in line with the type of person I want to be?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I had been doing this for about 32 days or something, and it was already transformative. And I was going to the store. I went to the store, and I just got some bad news, and I was kind of down, and I was looking down, driving real slow, and I hear this honk. And I look behind me, and this is guy in this pickup truck, and he zooms around me, and he goes to the stoplight. And I was like, man, that's weird. And then he backs up, he puts it in reverse, and like he's going to back into me. And I just kind of stopped. And then he like does something with his hand. And anyway, the light turns green, and he goes on to Bryant. We were on Washington. He turns left onto Bryant. And I go behind him because I'm kind of mad now. And I'm like, I'm going to get this guy's license plate. So I'm looking at his license plate, trying to get it, and I guess I got kind of close to him, but he stops real fast on the middle of Bryant, and he gets out of his vehicle, and he starts banging on the car window, and we're in traffic, and so I'm like pretty angry, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go over there and let's talk, let's get out of the road. And as I'm doing that, the police pull up right behind us, and they pulled him over because he was the one out banging on my window. And I was like, well, I'm not going to run off because that's going to look bad. I'm just going to pull over here, and they'll probably come over here. And sure enough, they did. And as they were pulling over there, it was like a flash I got, and it was the guy's eyes. It was almost as if they had like turned black or something. Not really, but like he was so angry. Like he had so much anger in him. And I just could tell in that moment it wasn't related to me. It was something in his life going on, and it changed from me being angry and wanting to retaliate to compassion for the guy, and I immediately thought, okay, God, this is one of those significant moments. Like, man, I wish I could have handled this differently. Like, I wish, looking back on that, what ended up happening is the police got both of our stories. He ended up getting a ticket for impeding traffic or something, and I felt bad. I even told the police, I said, don't give him a ticket. He's having a bad day. But what happened was, it was one of those significant moments where I thought back to myself, like, man, I should have reacted differently. Like, I wish I would have done what you had done. You know what I mean? Like, said, hey, listen, man, I'm sorry about that. Like, what's going on with you, man? Everything's going to be all right. Like, let's go talk about, just de-escalated it. But I was so heated. Yeah. And I think those are the moments, even the police officer, he goes, you ever seen when bad things go worse or something like that? And I said, yeah. And he said, where these interactions turn into somebody getting shot and dying. He said, this is how this happens. And it's so interesting. Somebody the other day on the podcast said there's a 10-second time frame of decisions we make that could be life altering.
Oh, yeah.
10 seconds, we make that decision for whatever reason, we're heated, and that changes the course of our lives forever, Yeah. And it's just, I wish in that moment I could have, I wish it wasn't hindsight. I wish I could have been like, hey, let's just talk about this, like, and have compassion for him and show him that, So that's cool that you did that.
Well, you
I
got to
think
remember,
if we
it's
did
spiritual
that more,
warfare, And
it
so
is.
that eye changing thing is real, but and we also are flesh,
Yeah.
So we have to fight this flesh all the time.
Yes.
Because there's lots of times where I'm like, I'll want to honk at somebody or speed up on them, My husband's always like, you get more with honey than you do vinegar,
It's so true, yeah.
But it is, and I've really learned to try to be kind and understanding, and I fall short all the time. One of the things I think that people don't realize is when you start ministry, whatever that is, or however you label it. And I know in the Bible, for me, it says he didn't promise it was going to be easy. He said long suffering, so it's going to hurt and it's going to be, but for every no, there's a beautiful yes. And so instead of like, I used to I'm trying to reword my words. So now I'm like, every blessing is a blessing. And meaning whatever we learn from it, it's just like this.
That's right.
Going off of, you know, I really thought graduating college would be my like crowning achievement because I didn't graduate high school. And the
Wow. Yeah.
craziest thing was it didn't even matter. The outreach was more
Really?
important than that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
when
yeah.
I found my purpose, and they talk about a purpose-driven life. When I
Yes.
found
Where were you during graduation of college?
I was at the Objective in Nashville, preparing for outreach.
Nowhere near college.
Oh
Yeah,
really?
She
yeah.
was
My
actually
son
on the road.
That's
graduated,
crazy.
and
Yeah. That's cool.
I wore my cap and gown all day until he
Did you?
graduated at 6, so we could bond it that way.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And my kids, a lot of people, they're like, oh, 'cause my kids, they're all adults now, but they're at home managing things, doing things, and we're here just doing what we can, and we've had a lot of people that have been like, well, why can't you get a full-time job and just take off a year and save up money? I'm like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
That's that many people I'm gonna miss. We call it the
Mhm.
99. That's the extreme toward Damon Curtis, Ted Brun, who's the CEO, and Damon, who's our team leader right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the main things they say is, it's about the one. It's about the one.
It sure
We've
is.
got to get out there
It is.
and we've got to, just and not bombard them, because I know
Yeah.
when you're high, it's really hard to
It
process
is.
a lot of words.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
that's why we use music ministry, because it's
Oh,
something
cool.
that just can set
I
in,
see.
and so
Yeah.
and I've been singing my whole life, and it's what's brought me joy. I got to
Yeah.
perform Reba McEntire's Fancy at the River Stage when I was
Cool.
15 years old, crowning
Oh, that's
achievement.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, is just this is home, and if this is where God wants this beautiful journey to really take off now that He's brought us full circle,
Uh-huh.
then that's wonderful. But it's again, it's an awareness, and I want a lot of people to understand, that these ministries out there, these different places that are having to ask for donations and
Mhm.
having to ask for provision. There's a reason behind
That's
it.
right.
And you
yeah.
don't let a few bad seeds, bad apples, ruin the bunch. You just,
Yep.
this is hard work, but we're willing to go into the places that a lot of people aren't.
Yeah,
We're
that's
willing
good.
to go out at 2:00 in the morning with headlamps
Yeah.
and hearts, and
Right.
it's go ahead.
It's easier to raise funds and capital for cats and dogs than it is humans.
It's so true.
No matter if it's
yeah.
veterans, street outreach, or whatever.
Yep.
So Brandy joined the tour. Mama Hope joined the tour last year, and we tried to get her here in town, and I tried and could not find a church or anybody who
Yeah.
would book us. So they ended up at a church out in Robert Lee, but it was still amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
This year I secured the venue, and they will be at the VFW
Nice. Yeah.
on an outside event. But I think the timing is perfect.
Yeah, it is.
Not just the street community, but now our whole town
Yes.
needs hope and just a
Yep.
just a little positivity.
Yes.
It's a free event.
Okay.
We're working on logistics and getting everything together, but if it's nothing more than just a stage and a bunch of artists singing to a small crowd, then that's what it'll be.
That's right.
But
Cool.
who we want to come out is, I want that homeless community to show up. I'll
Yes.
be passing flyers around.
Okay.
I've tried to get to the action agency.
Yeah.
With not much attention paid to it,
Uh-oh.
so I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
As she's a perfect example of a survivor.
Yeah.
But also, why don't those people who just survived the worst floods in 50 years that live outside, if we even know how many of them are still left, because I don't
Mhm.
think there's been any accountability on that, why wouldn't they deserve a free show one day?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe
Yeah.
some food and prizes while they're there,
Yeah.
or some activities.
It could be a great event.
Of course they do.
Yes.
And there's some beautiful events going on right now to raise funds.
Yeah.
This is just to add an extra flavor, but it's not to raise funds, but it is just to bring joy.
I love
I'm
it.
so thankful that they're all doing that, and our hometown
Yes.
artists are doing this. That's why I love San Angelo.
Yeah.
It's the one community I tell people when the times get tough, even the enemies stick together.
true.
Because
Man, it's
this
amazing.
you don't get a hometown, but again, we cannot continue to forget that there are people out there that are hurting, and there is no funding.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shelters. you know, the same thing I hear everywhere is we get a lot of promises with nothing that solves it, no closure. Yeah, man, we'll come back and help you with this, but they video me and then go make millions and don't give me anything.
Yeah.
And people are always on me like, why don't you video more? And I'm like, because I don't like degrading human beings, you know? But so I will do some, like, you know, preliminary things like out there, but my main focus is not to entertain you. It is to help them.
Yeah.
You know, I've been blessed with a gift of song. I've been blessed with a gift of words that can go out and say, you know, it's okay. Like one of my beautiful moments that I had when we first started doing outreach last year was in, I believe it was Flint, Michigan. I sat there, and it sounds like a bad joke, but it's not. But I sat there with a one-legged, I think she had one arm missing and a black eye. She was a prostitute.
Dang.
And she was just walking out on the streets, and we just sat there, and she asked me if I'd sing Bobby McGee. There was no lights. There was no cameras. It was just me singing to her.
Yeah.
She had to go do what she had to go do, but she knew that one person loved her.
Yeah, right.
And that makes all the difference.
And took the time to sing that song to just give her a little bit of
it was
reprieve,
given to me free
joy.
anyways, you know, like, and it's you know,
cool.
I see all these people fighting for their labels and their names and their brands, and I'm like, no, I'm just fighting for God.
Yeah.
You know, whatever happens with it, whatever comes out of it, just let it be of Him, you know. And so
what is the date on this event?
I believe July 29th.
Okay,
Sunday.
July 29th, Sunday.
6 to 10.
Nice. 6 to 10 p.m. at the VFW.
VFW 125 South Browning, right over here around the corner.
And
so all you got to do is show up and enjoy some music and maybe some food, and
I'm gonna make sure there's food there.
Yeah, I'll help in any way I can.
We're gonna. I want to feed the. You know, and the great thing about this, and you'll see, you know, a whole community. You will see, you'll get people that have never talked to each other, would never even thought. There's people in the churches that want to reach, they just don't know how.
Yeah.
You've now given them some opportunity to have this, you know, 60-year-old woman who's been in church her whole life, and that's her testimony, with this heroin addict, and they're hugging each other because he needed that grandma feeling, and she needed. And you know, also we got to remember that God transforms us. So some of those 60-year-old ladies in those churches have their own heavy duty. They could have been, you know, who knows what their story is.
Right,
so, but we are young. We want to be the feet and hands, you know. I want to give a shout out to the Church of Nazarene here. He offered to give me a tank of gas. Cool. But not only that, he was so pleasant in the fact that he really appreciated the fact that there are people that are still going there, you know. And and there's
where's that at, that church?
I can't remember the name of it. Okay. I might say it wrong, so I don't want to give the wrong name, but I will get that for you after. We can.
It's in the north side.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, and he was letting me know that everything's pretty good here, you know, and I was like, well, I'm going to get out there to the river. And sure enough, we drove out there today. And I was like, I knew it, man. I knew it. Because we living in Northern California, we have a lot of, you know, we call them houseless because God made this earth for us. It is our home. Yeah. Until we get to our permanent home. Yeah. So I like to say houseless. It's not my phrase. It's a hippie phrase. But, you know, so we know there's a lot of houseless that are unaccounted for. And they may never be accounted for. But let's make sure that doesn't have to happen again.
That's right.
Let's get out there and let them know not to be scared, that we are here as a friend. We are here as a loved one. You
absolutely.
know,
we need that.
There's a really great artist right now, hip hop artist out of Toledo, and he literally gives his personal phone number with every CD he passes out to everybody because he refuses to miss one phone call.
That's cool.
You know, and we need better help. You know, we need funding for the hospitals. We need funding for rehabs. We need funding for mental health, you know, and that's the reality of it. And I know there's a lot of people here like Shelly Makeda and other people that are working really hard to try to do that. Yeah. And I just want to be here to help as long as I can. Like I said, again, mobile, I'll be gone and God's going to move me somewhere else. But I hope that I leave like a Care Bear with a good Care Bear stare that lasts for a while, you know, and I'm so glad that there are people like all of us that have been through some things, you know, and we face it head on. Don't hide your testimonies. Don't be afraid is what I would say. You are loved. You know, I love you. I mean that. I literally, even, you know, as hard as it is for a lot of people to understand, even my ex-husband, and he's in prison, I don't hate that man because there's
Wow.
a story there.
That's true.
Nobody
Somewhere
turns
he's broken,
somewhere he's
some way.
broken.
It's
I knew
right.
him at 3, you know. So like my grandma and his grandma had an antique store right here downtown
Oh, wow.
next
Do
to
you
each other.
communicate with him at all?
He actually wrote me a letter while I was on tour last summer,
Yeah.
and it was I hadn't talked to him in years, and he said, "You're the only one I can talk to. I'm sorry for everything that happened." He
Wow.
goes, "But I found out that my unit, a lot of the guys have cancer now." He went to Turkey while we were in Germany. He said, "Promise me you won't leave my body here." And I was like, "I will not leave your body there." See, that's what people need
Wow.
to understand. That's
Wow.
that hate and regret and anger and resentment will not help you grow.
That's right.
It doesn't mean you
Yeah.
have to condone behaviors. It doesn't mean
Right.
I'm moving him into my house,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
what it does mean is I treat people as God has told me, and
That's
love
right.
thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
You know, I go to 1 Corinthians 13:20 a lot now because it talks about
Oh,
going
yeah.
out and speaking the gospel, and, you know, about why we knock on doors to have a place to sleep or be
Uh-huh.
fed. You know, funny thing last night, 2 things. Got to the Tom Green County sign.
Mm-hmm.
As I pass the Tom Green County sign, I'm really into angel numbers. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I like angel numbers. I feel like it's God messaging me. But
Yeah.
333, and then I was sitting there, the windows were down, and it was hot, and I'm like, how did people listen to the radio back in the day? And I like turned it up really loud, and it was fancy, all at the same time, and that was the song I sang on the river stage at 15 years
Really?
old. And I was like, all right, God, you just told me that this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I also really wanted enchiladas because, by the way, anybody out there, I will totally take homemade Mexican food.
Yeah. Is that your favorite?
Oh, my favorite.
Mine too, probably. Yeah.
Got to the VFW and there was homemade enchiladas by
What?
another lady that's part of my testimony.
That's crazy.
And I got to see her growth and her story, and it was absolutely beautiful. So
Cool.
God's always showing you things. You just got
How
to.
did you come to get saved, to know Jesus? When was it and how did it happen?
I started going to church. We grew up, you know, there you go. Here, yeah. Let the old man talk.
The adults made us go to church.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
On
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah, that's good.
That went a couple of different directions, to the point to where I actually was at first Southern Baptist, then ended up being Catholic.
Really?
I
didn't know that.
My dad decided, since he was Catholic, he did not like how things were going at a couple of churches here in town. He's like, no, that's not how we're going to do it. Everybody's Catholic.
Whoa.
There were some that didn't.
Yeah.
There were some that didn't play along, but I sure did.
Yeah.
I didn't have any choice.
Right. Yeah.
So at a very young age, I converted to Catholicism.
Yeah. Interesting.
Southern
Okay.
Baptist, went
Yeah.
to a private Christian church. I think it was Cornerstone.
Yeah,
Might
Cornerstone.
still be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then my mom went to college, and I would go across to the Methodist church at ASU
Yeah.
by myself, you know, started
Wow.
singing in the church there, but there was a feeling. At a young age, I didn't know what it was yet.
Yeah.
And anytime I was really feeling down, I'd always just go find a church to go to. I just needed that feeling. It wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
until probably about 8 years ago that I really started grasping and really started reading scripture.
Okay, yeah.
And the scripture actually started making
That-
sense. Like
ooh.
all of a sudden it just translated itself.
That happened to me.
Yes.
That happened to me. So what's interesting is like I would, read scripture, I'd go to church, Bible studies, all this, right? And it was just the same. Always I understood some of it, didn't understand some of it, but it never really jumped out and grabbed me. And I couldn't figure out why,
Yep.
until the last couple of years, and then it's just transformed for me.
Well, some of
Like
that
it's
comes
so
with-
interesting.
Some of that comes with maturity and
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
told me one time that the bad thing about wisdom is by the time you garner enough to be worth a dang, you die.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah.
And I look at
That's
that and I
true.
think that's very true. But
Yeah.
we do have to take that wisdom and apply it in our own
Yeah.
in our own lives. And that wisdom comes as far as even you talked about the moment with the road rage situation. I don't know about that whole 10 seconds where you make the decision and that's a life changer. I know that there is a break in time between emotion and reaction.
Ooh, yeah.
There's a break of time right there, and it's up to you to how long you spend in there or if you just plow right over the
Yeah,
top.
that's good.
Most people just plow right over the top
That's
and
right.
they go from emotion to reaction,
Yeah.
as you saw with yourself.
Yeah.
But if you can find that pause and just skip a
Ooh, that's
beat
good.
and hang out in that moment, then you get to process.
Yes.
Why is the emotion causing the reaction?
Yes.
And the whole thing, is the reaction worth
Right.
the
Yes.
consequences and or the emotion?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I think with wisdom and experience that we learn to pause
Yeah.
and go,
Yep.
what they used to have what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Or what would
Yeah.
Dimebag do? Or whatever, back
Yeah,
in the
no,
day.
you're right.
But there's something to that phrase is that's the moment.
Yeah,
You'd stop, well, what would so-and-so do?
right.
That's where you're taking the moment and you're processing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're right
and
about that, dude.
if
One
we
of the
would-
biggest reasons I think that I am able to now I'm able to understand it more and it's affecting me more. Scripture is it comes with that, I think, is age and experience
life experience.
and wisdom. It really is. I can
Yeah.
tell a lot of it is attributed to
One
that.
thing about life is you can look at it as mistakes and failure and success.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all your mistakes as learning lessons and experiences,
Yeah,
then you learn from it and you don't make that mistake.
that's
again.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
If we don't learn something from it, we're doomed to keep repeating it. But if I look at,
Ooh.
I've had 2 divorces.
Yeah.
The second one hit me hard. And I had my older brother actually told me, I said, I failed her. I failed my life. I failed my son. I failed my wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can look at it as failure and then just keep on with that downward
Right.
trajectory. Or you can stop, think about how you got there
Mhm.
and maybe learn something from it and look at it as a learning lesson.
Dude, yes.
And then you can,
That's
then
so
you can
much
take
harder
back
said
off.
than done.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
just did an interview with a 30-year-old kid. He's a bodybuilder, and he's been through a remarkable amount of stuff for somebody who's 30. And what I found so fascinating about him is that all these things he's been through, like a divorce and addiction, all these things, is I saw a lot of myself in him at 30. But the difference was he would talk about these situations and I could really see how he learned from his mistakes and he didn't let it happen again. In fact, he created these really rigid boundaries for himself and for other people. And I saw myself with those same mistakes and I wouldn't learn from them. It took me until I was my age now, so he has so much more wisdom at 30 than I could have ever dreamed of having at 30. And I was like, man, you actually learned from this stuff and applied it.
Right.
Like, why did it take
applied
you
it's the
longer?
part.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
It's harder
yeah.
to set
Yeah.
boundaries for ourselves than it is between us and other people. I can set
Man,
boundaries.
that's so true.
I can
yeah.
set boundaries with her all day long,
Right.
and I got no issues with it.
Yep.
Me, it's
Man,
who's
it's
on
so
this shoulder,
hard.
who's
That's-
on that shoulder, and having this whole three people conversation.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's good. So how do you because I know it's hard whenever you're doing what you do and you really rely on donations and fundraising and so it's not easy to outright ask, but I want to try to help you out. So how can people donate to what you guys do for Hope for the Hurting and how can they support you guys?
We do have a website at Artist and Christian Testimony, as well as I've just been using like Zelle and Cash
Yeah.
App and everything because like I said, this is like that's what I've been doing. And then what I do is I'll go and get the supplies, or I'll be like, okay, this is helping with fuel for the car today, but it's mainly just my grandpa Charlie, who passed away. He was a retired chief master sergeant here.
Wow.
He always said, "Closed mouths don't get fed,"
Yeah.
and I took that with so many times in my life, but especially now, in order to do this, it's got to be full time. I can't be bivocational
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be doing, for one. And for two, I have to go on full faith that God is going to touch those hearts that do want to give. I've had a lot of people in my life personally, they're like, we just don't have it. That's okay. Pray.
Yeah.
Prayer is wonderful, y'all.
Absolutely.
Prayer is key,
Yeah.
I imagine prayers probably kept me out of a lot of trouble. But there is again, like a Cash App, Venmo,
I'll put that on the screen
Zelle.
right here.
And again,
Yeah.
now, we want to be able to get supplies to help pass out care packages, things that we know that we needed when we were homeless. Backpacks, headlamps.
Mhm.
Just being able to get supplies of Narcan. I know that I think
Yeah.
Gary said he's got
Awesome.
because you don't know. We just had that happen to us. We just dealt with a guy who was overdosed, and the poor guy thought he was smoking crack, and it ended up being laced with fentanyl.
Yeah. Mhm.
And thank God we were just walking around the corner and saw him. We were able to call,
Yeah.
and they handled it really well. But it's you're basically the ground pounder. You're out there hands and feet in this, and you never know what you're going to need, whether it's going to be peroxides, Band-Aids,
Yeah. Okay.
gas
Yeah.
vouchers, dog food, cat food.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of times we've had like dog shots on us. If they have a little puppy, we're able to at least give them their first
Well, that's cool, yeah.
inoculation. Things that they can't afford.
Right. Yeah.
Things, but people like, well, just take the dog away from them. They don't understand that's their comfort. That's
family.
their family.
Yeah. Exactly.
Socks, shoes are always invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Foot powders. Just
Amazon,
so that is.
Amazon has a really good.
There you go. Yeah.
Amazon has a really good base of, and it'll say specifically homeless care package,
Oh, cool.
street outreach package,
Wow.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of the things that she's talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
smaller
that's great.
packaging where they can, keep it in their pockets
Uh-huh.
or whatever. Because it's not like they have a bathroom to go
Exactly.
put stuff in a
Yeah.
cabinet or something in the closet.
That's
It's
right.
with them full time.
Yep.
Whatever they can carry on their person for
That's
the most
right.
part.
Yeah.
Those type of things are, I say would be definitely something that would help coming up, especially on the 29th.
Okay. Yeah.
Or even now, because she's going to be here doing outreach this whole.
Okay.
until
Good.
Then.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, you don't. It doesn't. It's when God appoints you. You
Yeah,
know,
Right.
it's nonstop.
That's right.
And it only gets
Yeah.
busier. But
Mm-hmm.
the awareness that all I keep thinking is the best form of success to let me know that I was successful in my life would be to go through those gates and go, good and faithful servant, your name is in the book.
That's right.
That to be
Wow.
that obedient
Yeah.
to his calling and I've been doing these positive videos. A friend of mine suggests, he's like, Hope, you're so good with talking to people.
Yeah. You
So,
should-
and that's what I said the other day. I'm like, man, if it meant me being homeless and sleeping in a tent right next to them and losing absolutely everything, I would still have God. I
That's
would
right.
still know
Yeah.
that I have my heavenly hotel up there.
Yeah.
Like
right.
maybe in the corner you might have a little barn for me. I don't know.
It's funny that you say that. But let me ask
Kelly's
you.
gonna be up there in a bus. Watch.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, over the last 2 years with what we've both been doing, how many times have we slept in the van or in a tent for weeks?
Really?
On at a time?
Yeah.
Just to make it happen.
Just
Wow,
was
that's
visiting my
incredible.
sister. She was like, "Would you please come inside? It is too hot out there." We're
Dang.
like, but we have such good support system, and we have such loving people, and like with my sisters, both my sisters, that they have so much going on in their lives that it just inspires them watching me,
Mm-hmm.
and so just to hear that they love me and they're proud of me
Yeah,
is really
absolutely.
important,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but it's so much more than that. I've seen what being obedient and going out there and being active and engaging. I love. You'll get to meet Damon. He's amazing. Him and his wife Sharon. But he always says, "Souls, not shows." We're not there just to be a show. We're not there we're not there for us to get the applause. We're
That's
there
right.
applauding them, and they don't even realize it yet.
Wow.
And that's what it's about. Music was never meant for our own greed. I mean,
Yeah.
it was meant to tell stories. It was meant to share
Yeah.
a moment in the back room of, grandma's house, playing the piano, my stepdad playing the guitar, us singing. Just
Mm-hmm.
that's happiness to me. And even if
Yeah.
I just sat at the river, if anybody wants to bring drums and guitars, we just sit
Yeah.
at the river and play and
Cool.
jam. That's what it's about. And we
Yeah.
need to get back to that. We need to we're not gonna be able to. That was the hardest part about reading in scripture, was we're not gonna be able to save everybody. There'll always be poor. There'll always be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what you do with the time that you have here.
Yeah.
And at 50 years old, I don't know what my time is, but I don't want to waste any more of it.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited about the music that's coming out. The opportunities that are coming out, and I'm blessed beyond measure.
Yeah.
She gets overwhelmed and full throttle on the spiritual side, and then sometimes forgets that she is a musician.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the songs that you just recorded.
Yeah,
and,
please.
And what's happening going forward with that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny about that is I used to be all about the music, and
Mhm.
if I could just be famous and have money, then I could go help people.
Yeah, right.
And God said,
yeah.
"Watch
I think
this."
we've all had those thoughts. Yeah. Like if I could just, then I'll be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now he's like, what if the music isn't everything? What if there's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
last March we recorded in San Diego. I have a wonderful producer named Corey Wilkins, who is blind.
Wow.
It plays guitar, drums, he has this huge sound system, does it all
Nice.
himself. Has a beautiful testimony himself.
Cool.
He did it all for free.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
he gave all his time 4 days straight for
Whoa.
free, and we had been quoted before that $34,000, and I'm like, I'm not buying a
Oh, I
house.
had no idea.
You know,
That's crazy.
well, it can be because they do a lot, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and I love the producer that had given me that quote. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But Linda and Mike Bell. Linda is the one that wrote the songs, and also transposed another song. But her and her husband, who plays bass, who's also a pastor, he's the associate pastor at the Kingman Church in Nazarene. But I met them in Willow Creek. She was my homeschool teacher for my kids. They're also intricate. They're the ones that prayed for us for 15 years. But she wrote these songs, like I said, I think 70s, 80s, while she was working with Jews for Jesus and volunteering with Artisan Christian Testimony. It had just kind of started a few years before that. And a wonderful man named Steve Morello, who plays drums. Every one of these people were much older and have amazing testimonies, but they really haven't had to really speak about their testimonies as much because they're very active in the churches. So this was an opportunity for people who never thought that they'd be doing this again to do it. So I get to hear their voices and their sounds ever. I get to hear her breathing when she plays the flute. She had cancer in her lip and never thought she'd be able to play again.
Wow.
And I've been begging her for years, play the flute. And she got to play it on the EP.
Yeah.
And then this has just always been a dream of mine because I knew that when I sang, it brought joy to people. And if I could have something that they could just pop in when they were having a bad day and be like, okay, it's going to be all right. So these beautiful songs are songs that she wrote out of her feelings on Christ. And that's why it's even more special to me is I'm kind of getting to tell her story, but now I understand this story.
Yeah.
So the EP is called Walking with My Jesus. It started out with Walking with My Yeshua. But she changed it to Walking with My Jesus, which is of course the same thing. But also I'm working on some neo soul, which is really cool. I didn't know what that was, and we have a song called Soul Shine that you can see on my Facebook page.
Cool.
That we're working on. It hasn't been published yet, I think is what it's called. But that's Manny Hubbard and Damon.
Post-production. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
And Damon Curtis, who created that, and I do the vocals, along with Fuzz Huzzy out of San Diego, who just won an award. We're working on some Christian music with them, as well as Christian heavy metal. So that's
awesome. Yeah. I like it.
Just some amazing opportunities being thrown back and forth.
Yeah.
And just, I got to, if y'all know the Spradleys, Jason Spradley and his family about 4 years ago started doing music ministry. I got to sing with him and do a heart song. I call them heart songs because I just close my eyes and ask God to sing through me.
Cool.
And it's usually like sharing my testimony. And so I might do a little blurb of that before I leave, but it's an acapella.
Can you do it right now?
I can.
Do it.
I can.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to sing. Okay.
So what I do is, because when we were on the streets, I couldn't play an instrument or anything.
Yeah.
So when I was panhandling, I would just sing with the sign. I'm like, well, maybe it'll work, and it worked. So thank you, God. But I just close my eyes and I'm just like, okay, God, what is it you want to say through me? What is it you want to flow through me? And then I'm just, Heavenly Father, let your words flow. And then, as I sit here in this chair, thinking about all the years, all the times I wished I was right here, and the glory that you gave, and the ear to hear my heart and find a way. And I am thankful, Lord, for you gave me mercy too. And I know through the years you never left my side. Oh, washed away my tears, for I cry away the pain. Oh, I cry away the hurt. Oh, I cry away the sorrow in my life. and you have come and brought me here and erased all the fear, and now I shine your light.
That's great.
So it's just,
Cool.
that was a little rough.
Where did that come from?
Just my heart.
The lyrics?
Just my
You're
heart.
kidding.
No.
Oh, really?
It
Brandy
is.
was a
It is.
What?
It is a gift sing.
Oh gosh, that's cool.
It's people are always like,
Because I
oh,
was
where
really
can I
taken
hear
by
that?
the lyrics. That's crazy.
And I'm like, it's just me. It's basically you're just talking
Whoa.
your testimony in song.
well, because when you started, I'm sitting in this chair. I was like, oh, is she gonna sing about like right now? But then I was like, no, that surely not. Because some of that stuff, I was like, man, that's good. You're not just making that up on the fly. That's crazy.
He's pretty good about the fly.
That's cool.
He's a free flower. That guy.
I like that.
She was primarily a blues singer for the
Oh, cool.
for the most part, and she still got a lot of blues in
Blues
it.
is
Yeah.
my thing. Like
I like
blues,
that.
I really it's because it tells a
But-
story.
Yeah.
you
Going
know?
from blues to gospel has been a cool thing to watch
Ooh,
her
yeah.
watch her do. So,
Yeah. Well, Kelly, do you have anything you want to talk about? Plug real quick.
just that definitely the 29th with the Extreme Tour coming up.
Yeah.
Hosted by Schoolies for Veterans and Operation Got Your Six.
Oh, cool. So you are
Uh,
going to be hosting it.
yeah, we're hosting
Okay, well,
it.
that's
the
important.
The VFW
Okay.
is providing the venue.
Yeah. Cool.
We're going to be continuing doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Helping out locally. I'm going to get her out, try to get her involved. She's for her first time back in a while.
Yeah.
So I'll get her more exposed to what's going on in town and where
Good,
everybody's
yeah.
at and all that kind of stuff, and give her a little bit more history around some of the things you and I have talked about done in
Yeah.
the past.
Cool.
So
And it's really
Awesome.
important as we go into different towns too, to know the dynamics, to
Mhm,
know
That's true.
the statistics and where the people are and
Mm-hmm.
and what the needs are. And each community has different needs.
That's
West
right.
Virginia may not have the same as San Angelo,
That's right.
Texas. So
Mhm.
and it's just such a beautiful experience. I encourage people. I have a friend that writes every day, go feed somebody. I
Mhm.
encourage people, to go out there, and if nothing else, just say, hey, I scream out the window all the time, I love you. Either they'll accept it or they'll be like crazy lady,
Yeah.
which I am, which is fine.
Yeah.
might be a somewhat disturbed high school kid from
Yeah,
probably
we were
have a nice
passing
day.
certain one. I'm like, I love you, and the kid's like, Mom, stranger danger. But it's really love is the key. It really is the key,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can make a difference. I feel like there's a revolution, a revival coming. I feel like, we had the 60s and the 70s. Now we can do that without the LSD, without the
Right,
drugs. Now we
yeah.
can do it with this whole new thing. But we're going out to you. We're not making you come into a
Mhm.
building. We're not making you sign a sheet saying your accountability. We're not. You're not a number to us. You're a human being.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what I hope to leave here.
Yeah.
is-
So, lastly, what are 3 things that you're just genuinely grateful for right now in your life? I always do this at the end.
God's grace and mercy for sure would be my first one. That He blessed me with a wonderful, supportive husband that fought tooth and nail with me through our own addictions and through life, and supports me and loves me through these things. And
Mm-hmm.
my third, the fact that I have this gift that I'm able to go and
Absolutely.
to sing and reach people and to bring comfort in a place of such chaos in our world. And I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. I just want people to remember we're all human beings.
Yeah, I like that.
And we need to focus on what it is that we're doing individually to help in that moment. And sometimes it feels like you can't help anybody because you can't help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be able to have numbers for you to call, be able to have those hotlines to say, hey, I'm a veteran, I'm a hurting, and I need somebody right now to talk
Mhm.
to. Not, hey, well, I got a time at 3:00 tomorrow, or I can meet you at 5 at this, but like, I'm going to do my best to get there as quick as I can, man.
Yeah.
You just hold on.
Yeah.
And you can't save everybody,
Yeah.
but that's not excuse to not try to help somebody.
That's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my words of wisdom are, we only here for a short while. Let's make it a beautiful while.
Nice,
There's a lot
yeah.
of people in Texas and New Mexico and other places right now that have lost a lot. They've
Mhm.
lost precious, precious things to them in their lives. And we don't want them to get lost in the hole of the depression. We want them to know that that was not in vain, that things can change, that it's going to be okay. But we also want to make sure we get out there and make sure there's not anybody that's still out there that somebody might be missing and they need to know.
Yeah.
A lot of the homeless don't contact their family on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like I said, in Northern California, we deal with the forest fires and a lot of loss of life that you may never know about, and so.
Yeah. What about you, Kelly? What are 3 things you're grateful for?
3 things I'm grateful for today would be, of course, family and friends. A heartbeat, the fact that I still have the pulse of life running through my body.
Yeah.
I can still be here and have the third thing, a purpose.
Yeah, that's good.
I was lost without it for a few years. So I'm thankful to have those 3 things.
I'd like to retract my last one. Is still his purpose is important.
It is. It's very important. Well, thank y'all very much. I really appreciate you for courageously sharing your testimony and coming on here. And Kelly, thank you again always, man, for
make sure you come see us July 29th.
Yeah, July 29th.
Free for you, San Angelo, Texas. We are coming with bells, whistles, and a lot of love.
Yeah.
And we just want people to know that they're seen.
Absolutely.
Let us know if you have a hard time having a ride. We'll figure out ways to get you here. And and I'm so proud of our community. Keep doing what you're doing. God bless all of them out there working tirelessly.
Yes.
I have to say that our community has stepped up.
Right? Isn't it been amazing?
Has stepped up.
Yes. It's pretty inspiring to see.
We were watching all the surveyors out there today doing the thing, and it was like, but it is heartbreaking because you pass by these houses and see this old furniture and that person lived there for a long time.
I know, right, yeah.
And that's everything they have. And sometimes stuff and things means more to us than we realize. And so.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you guys.
No, thank you for what you do. And
of course.
Keep on keeping on.
And thank you, Matt's World.
Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, Kelly Self and Mama Hope, for coming on the show, and especially for sharing your powerful testimony. Remember, guys, July 29th, 6 to 10 p.m., free concert at the VA.